general observation, a little bit different than before, is if you look at this thing, there are no junior college players. We've got one Division I drop-down quarterback that's already here, Snyder, and then everyone else are high school football players. And you know, that's a good sign. I think we signed a good crop, and then we just have to see who can develop and play as freshmen. And then the rest, we'll see what happens, and we may have to redshirt some.
Is that kind of a direction you really tried to go in and get more of the high school guys directly as opposed to the JUCO guys?
Well, initially, we tried to get a couple guys mid-semester, a couple junior college kids, and that didn't work out. And then it worked out for the best, actually, because then we ended up getting some really quality high school kids.
Could you talk about those areas of emphasis that you really tried to attack in this class?
Well, we needed quarterbacks, and so we signed a couple quarterbacks, and then a B.J. Buckner is a kid that could play both receiver and quarterback, but you see we did a lot there. We graduate 6 defensive linemen next year. We have 6 that are going to be seniors, so we brought in 5. And we brought in 1 offensive lineman. Would probably have liked to bring in a couple more, but you know, there's enough big guys to share the wealth, so to speak. And then you'll see some athletes. We signed some kids that are just, we have classified as athletes. So you'll see good length at receiver and some good speed as well.
Marty, I just want to shut up for you.
No,
And as far as the quarterback position, I know with Scheibel obviously graduating, a lot of interest. How do you feel with the crop that you have going in and getting, you know, into spring ball and everything, as well as in the next summer, this upcoming summer, the guys that you have?
Well, we have to wait and see how things work out. Kyle just enrolled in school here, and then we've got a couple other young kids that really have no experience. So that's why we had to sign 2+1 or 2.5 type of thing to get the quarterback situation rectified. So it's a wait and see. I like what I've seen so far in Kyle. When you see the video of him with the highlights, you'll see why we like him. And we brought in some very athletic quarterbacks.
Get back to Kyle, seems like a good get for you guys, got some experience. I mean, that's a good guy to have, playing at a pretty good level of football. I know he didn't play a whole lot, but he got a little bit of playing time.
Oh yeah, well he runs our offense, first of all. Very talented. And you know, he's got the ability to throw the ball. If you look at his stats coming out of high school, a lot of numbers thrown. He's a very good runner, thick kid, and got a great reputation as a worker.
Does that mean like Lewis out of Sykeston, could he change positions or anything, or does that mean anything there?
Well, it's possible. We have to see where that whole thing shakes out. We're getting ready to go into spring ball, so we just have to let everything settle and see what happens from there.
How would you compare this quality-wise to some of your other recruiting classes on paper?
Oh, we're pretty good on paper. I've not compared them, so I don't know how to. I'll have to go back and maybe take a look at that. But on paper, really good.
Marty, anything from you on
Just a couple things. Look, I know that McRoberts kid kind of stands out, and I've read about a lot of him from the St. Louis area.
Oh yeah. You know, we came on him late. He's a kid that plays basketball, and he's listed as 6'3", but he's very long arms, huge hands. So he should be able to catch the ball. Very explosive, and you know, we were tickled pink to get him.
I know. Go ahead, Mark.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say locally, you know, we've had obviously some, you know, the Piper kid, and not to mention Kip, you know, as well as some offensive linemen, a bunch of guys locally, Sykeston guys. No guys right from this immediate area this year. Is it just one of those years, or do you expect some to walk on, or?
Well, some may walk on, but what we try to do is hit the state. If you take a look at our numbers, we signed 6 in-state, and in my mind, that classifies as local. And, you know, there's some right across the river that, you know, within range. So I thought we did a better job than normal of sticking closer to home and grabbing some really good talent.
Got quite a few, like you said, some St. Louis, Missouri guys. That's all.
Yeah.
You really picked up with that last few years, haven't you?
You know, I think sometimes you have to break in. Of course, when we had the success, you know, that starts bringing people a little bit closer. And, you know, a lot of kids were very surprised when they came on the recruiting trips about the facilities and the upgrades and the locker room and some of those things. You know, You know, I don't know if they realized how much it had improved and what they had heard. So I thought that was big, just seeing the facilities and the improvements.
I guess I'll kind of piggyback on that question, the success that you guys had, obviously, it's been when you had the big year gone to the playoffs, plus the improvements, is the recruiting in general, do you find that you get these quality guys who are a little bit more interested in you?
Well, you know, that's part of it. Another big part that people tend to not realize is the enthusiasm of the team that we have right now. I thought our kids did a great job when the kids came on campus, being enthusiastic and encouraging them and telling them that we have an opportunity to get things done here and that they're working at it. I thought that was a big part of this whole thing.
Back to the quarterback replacing Charlotte, I mean, it looks like you guys have a pretty good battle going on. I mean, you know, the guys that are here in the spring and come in, would you say a kid like Snyder might have a leg up on her, or that just remains to be, see how it shakes out?
There you go. You're throwing out that at me already. It's early. Snyder's a kid that's played Division I football, didn't get a lot of snaps, but he's got experience, and he's going to be here in the spring. So anybody that's here in the spring is going to have a leg up, of course. And then quarterbacks, the mentality of the typical quarterback, I'd be surprised if they all don't show up in the summer and try to compete, because you can't show up in the fall and think you're ready to be a starter or a contributor at that position. So quarterbacks know the deal. And so I would expect it's going to be a stiff competition at two levels: spring, summer, fall.
When I think about the JUCOs, does that have a lot to do with the fact you didn't lose a whole lot of seniors? I mean, like you did the year before, would you probably went up to more JUCOs if you had lost like so many senior starters? Or?
Yeah. If you look at last year, we did bring in a couple extra junior college kids. The big deal with junior college kids, though, all of a sudden, 1 year, and then they're seniors. And you've got to start all over again. I feel real fortunate with the kids. When you take a look at some of these kids, some of them, I think, will develop in 4 or 5 years into some top flight athletes. And that's a big part of getting high school kids, grooming them for 4 or 5 years. So it's something that we weren't able to do in the past extensively, just because at the time we were really just pretty much putting our fingers in the dike.
One other thing, Coach, I don't know if you probably don't want to single. Does any couple people in this group like really just stick out at you, or just don't want to single anybody out right now?
Well, I'm going to let you do that. We're going to let you take a look at the highlights, and we're going to be doing that in a little while, and I'll let you guys decide. I'm going to look forward to hearing from you on that one. I really don't like to single anybody out this early, because the level of play is so different from high school to college. And, you know, sometimes it might be just emotional development. Maybe a kid came from a high school, from a system that's similar to ours, that might give him an edge. There's so many different things. It's hard to just go putting that kind of burden on a kid.
I knew you weren't going to single anybody out.
No, you knew I wasn't.